Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Making It in Manhattan. Today's episode is going to be all about the Met Gala. Recently, I attended a special Met Gala watch party and Met Gala after party, and the Met Gala is just one of my absolute favorite days of the year, so I wanted to do a little recap episode to talk about everything that happened that night and some of my absolute favorite looks. So let's get started. So the Met Gala is one of the biggest nights of the year for the fashion industry. It's honestly like my Super Bowl. Growing up, I would always watch the Met Gala red carpet on my couch, and I would be on the phone with my aunt who also loves fashion, and we would be talking about all the different red carpet looks. So the Met Gala is the first Monday in May every single year, and it is actually a charity event hosted by the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And who gets to go? Celebrities, designers. It is hosted by the one and only Anna Wintour. And unfortunately, once again, my Met Gala invite got lost in the mail. But I did get to attend the next best thing. I got to attend a TikTok Met Gala watch party and the Karl Lagerfeld Met Gala after party. The theme of this year's Met Gala was actually a tribute to Karl Lagerfeld, which was really beautiful. And the actual exhibit in the museum is called Karl Lagerfeld, A Line of Beauty. And I'm going to see the exhibit soon, so I can't wait. But as an influencer and a creator, I don't get to attend the Met Gala yet, but it really is exciting that brands and designers and companies like to make influencers and creators still feel included and involved in the night. So I wanted to give you guys a little recap of my night, because if you follow me on Instagram and on Insta Story, you saw that I wore the most stunning Christian Siriano gown, but I did have you guys vote on my looks, and you're probably wondering, how does that come about? Do you get to keep the looks, etc., etc.? So the first event that I got invited to was the TikTok Met Gala watch party. And as soon as I got that invite, I was like, I need a look. Even though I wasn't going to the actual Met Gala, for me, I was acting like it was my Met Gala, because why not? We need to manifest the things we want in our lives, and you got to dress for the life you want. You know what I mean? So as we know, Christian Siriano designed my wedding dress, and I loved my wedding dress so much. So when I have a big, really exciting event, I always feel confident going to Christian Siriano and his team and asking them to borrow a look. So I went to his studio and he hand selected a few different looks for me. And the two that ended up being my favorites that I narrowed it down to, one was this long black gown, high neck, long sleeves. And on the long sleeves, there were these huge fuchsia ruffles. And honestly, when I put my hands together on my waist, it kind of made a heart, which I thought was really beautiful. But also the black of the body of the dress was just so form-fitting and so flattering. So that was one of my favorite choices. And then the second option that I also loved was also black in the body, which is interesting. But I think since the theme was a tribute to Karl Lagerfeld, and once we get into when I'm talking about some of my favorite looks, there really wasn't a lot of color on the Met Gala red carpet this year. And I think it was just because of the tribute to Karl Lagerfeld and keeping in line with that aesthetic. So the second look option was an all black gown, floor length, and it was a one shoulder. And on the one sleeve, it was a huge, I'll call it a ruffle of black and mint green tulle. And then down the front was all black and mint green tulle. And it was amazing. Honestly, so I posted a video on TikTok and Instagram, and I was so torn because I wanted to make sure I still felt very elegant and very Met Gala, and I wanted to still get all dressed up. I got my hair and makeup done, which we'll get into. But the only reason why I ended up choosing the look I did is because the pink and black one was more comfortable. So I think something to always keep in mind when you're going to events like this is, though you want to look your best, you also want to feel your best. And since I was going to a Met Gala watch party, I was like, hey, I might be sitting down. I might just be relaxing and chilling a little bit more. So I want to make sure I have a dress that I can really sit down and be comfortable in. So I chose the black and fuchsia one. So happy I did. If you haven't seen the images, head over to my Instagram because I had so much fun shooting it. So that was, the first step was just picking out the look. Then we had to accessorize the look. That was a whole other thing. So the day of the event, I got a hotel room near the TikTok watch party because I wanted to get my hair and makeup done, and I wanted to also make sure that I could walk to the event because I never want to get my dress all wrinkly before I get there. Isn't that always the worst when you steam a look and then you get in a car and it gets all wrinkly? So I got a hotel room in Midtown. The TikTok watch party was at Dear Irving on the Hudson, I believe is the name, and it's on 40th Street. And it was on the rooftop, which was beautiful. We really had great weather for it. And you had a beautiful view of the city. So I got my hair and makeup done. I worked with the team at LRN Beauty who did my hair and makeup for my wedding, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. Obviously for my wedding, I wore my hair down in these full big curls, but I was really inspired by Sophia Richie's wedding hair. And she wore her hair slicked back and she wore it in a bun that was almost a braided bun. And it was really, really beautiful. And since the dress had this high neck and these big sleeves, it needed hair slicked back. You know what I mean? The hair down just would have been too overwhelming and would have thrown off the proportions of the look. So I did that for my hair. And then for makeup, I did very glowy, dewy makeup. I wanted my skin to just be the focal point. And then I had a little bit of pink in my eye makeup. And I love working, their names are Kat and Irving, and they did my wedding hair and makeup. And it's always fun to work with them because we collaborate really well together. I can give my ideas, they give me their input, and the look came out really great. But now for accessorizing the dress, that's where I was really torn because I had this beautiful black and fuchsia gown. But obviously the theme of the Met Gala was a tribute to Karl Lagerfeld. So in keeping with my predictions, I thought a lot of people were going to wear archival and vintage Chanel. So I wanted a little touch of vintage Chanel in my look. So I ended up styling the dress with these big gold vintage Chanel C earrings. And I brought it today, this black vintage Chanel bag. I just felt like, and they both have gold hardware, so the golds worked very nicely together. I felt like it just added a sophisticated edge to the look. As soon as I put on the gold oversized Chanel C earrings, I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, this is such a different look for me because it's very black in the main body of the look, but it felt so sophisticated and still fun. And I got the vintage Chanel pieces from the Real, which I love the Real, as you guys know. And I thankfully only got them the day before, which sometimes when it comes to me and my creative ideas with outfits, I get a spark of creativity like in the 11th hour, unfortunately. So it was the night before and I was like, where am I going to get? I knew I wanted big gold vintage Chanel earrings. I was like, where am I going to get these? So I went on the Real's website, and since they have 2 store locations in New York City, I was able to select to see what pieces were available in New York City. So I had slim pickings, I'm not going to lie. I had maybe like 4 options to choose from, but I was very lucky that they had something that could work. And then for my shoes, I styled the look. I had these matching Sarah Jessica Parker collection shoes that were literally like the same fuchsia, also very comfortable. And I've worn them so much that it's almost ready to retire those shoes. I'll get to that story later on. But so I got all ready in the hotel, got my hair and makeup done, filmed to get ready with me as always. And then I did a bunch of photos outside of the hotel and in the hotel. And, from an influencer perspective, this is how we get involved in the Met Gala. We don't get to go to the Met Gala yet, maybe one day. But getting ready for the watch party with TikTok, it gives you that connection still to the biggest night of the year for fashion. Okay, so now I get all my photos taken, film my get ready with me, feeling like I'm heading to the Met Gala. And, I didn't even mention, Dave was my date. So Dave, after he finished work, he rushed to Midtown to meet me to be my date for the TikTok watch party, which was really nice. I always love bringing Dave to events with me, especially when I'm going into events where I don't know anyone. I joke that Dave's like my comfort human. So it's always nice going into an event knowing that I have someone by my side who is just, there to support me and everything. And it was really nice because he knew, he's like, this is your Met Gala. You are treating this like it is your Met Gala. So then once I got to the party, what was it like? So it was on this rooftop at Dear Irving on the Hudson. TikTok had a red carpet, a step and repeat, photographers. They really set it all up, which was so fun. They had a really cool photo section with B&H, which is a camera company. And they had these old vintage TVs and like a camcorder set up. And it was this really fun photo station. And they took black and white photos of us. And Dave and I are like, wow, if we ever have a kid one day, this is a photo that we show them where like mom and dad were really cool at one point, because we just look so chic in the photo. So that was really awesome. And then I also did an interview with InStyle. So TikTok had, I guess, the social media editor from InStyle magazine there, and they asked if they could interview me for a TikTok for their page, which I was a little bit nervous about because I was like, okay, what are they asking me? I hope I can answer these questions. So the main questions were asking us for our predictions of the night. So we had to pick a name out of a bag, and it was a celebrity name. And then we had to make a prediction on what we thought they were going to wear. And I had 3 different guesses, and I was correct on one of them, fully correct. So I had Penelope Cruz, and I actually guessed that she was going to wear a Chanel bridal inspired look, which she did. And I thought she looked stunning, and I really liked that she paid homage to the Chanel bride. I also had Lizzo, which I did not guess correctly what I thought she was going to wear. And I also had Kim Kardashian, which I didn't guess correctly either, because I honestly wasn't expecting that from Kim. I thought she looked stunning, but I thought she was going to wear something gold and very chunky vintage Chanel. So that was surprising for me, but I guess Penelope Cruz, right? So I was excited about that. So after I did my InStyle interview, they had an open bar, and all the specialty drinks were all names of past Met Gala themes, which was really cute. They had past hors d'oeuvres, and then they had big TVs set up all throughout the space that at 6:30, when the live broadcast of the Met Gala red carpet was going to start, they were going to live stream the red carpet in. And who else was there? So other creators were there, other TikTok creators. So it was really cool for me because growing up, as I said, I do watch the Met Gala red carpet every year, but I'm usually watching it alone or calling my aunt or texting her because she really loves fashion as well, and just like talking about the looks with her. But it was so nice for TikTok to put on this event because it gave me a chance to be around all these other people who actually cared so much about the Met Gala red carpet. And as people were coming out and as we were seeing their looks, we could all like gasp and join in on the excitement together. Dave was laughing because Dave enjoys fashion, but not like me. So he would look over at me and I was like staring at the TV enthralled. I was just so excited to see what each person was wearing. So it was really special and fun to be surrounded by the TikTok creator community and to all be dressed up on Met Gala Monday and to just join in on that excitement together. So the TikTok watch party ended probably around 8:30. And then after that, I had about an hour and a half break until the Karl Lagerfeld Met Gala after party. So that is the second event that I was invited to. And obviously the theme of the Met Gala was Karl Lagerfeld. So his team put on a Met Gala after party. And I was so excited to be invited. I wasn't even allowed to bring a +1. That's how exclusive it was. So you know me, guys, I was extra nervous because I didn't have Dave with me. I didn't even know who else was going to be there. But I had about an hour and a half. So I told myself, okay, I'll go back to the hotel, Dave and I can get a bite to eat, and then I'll go to the party. Well, little did I know, I was going to have 3 major fashion faux pas happen within that small hour and a half time. And it's funny because on Instagram story and on TikTok, you would think my night went beautifully, easy, there was no problems. So the first problem ensued when I was wearing the Chanel clip-on earrings, and they're vintage, so they're really heavy. And I was sitting in the restaurant and one fell right off because they were heavy, so it slipped off. And the back of the clip-on earring came off before the after party. And I was like, great, just spent a lot of money on these Chanel clip-on earrings. And now I need to go to the after party and my earring is broken. So thankfully, Dave was able to like maneuver and put it back in. I still need to bring them to a jeweler to make sure it's actually fixed. So that was the first one. So then I thought I was in the clear, but yet, no, I wasn't. So number 2, all of a sudden I'm sitting it was just a restaurant in the hotel. All of a sudden my phone just gets a pop-up that says, unable to use cellular data. So there I am. I have no service. My phone is only working if it's connected to Wi-Fi. So cannot call anybody, cannot text anyone, cannot get Uber, cannot anything. And now I'm supposed to go to this after party alone without Dave, nobody. So that's number 2, and that's not fixed. So that wasn't fixed. I just had to not have a phone the rest of the night. So then I'm like, okay, phone's not working, earring broke, nothing else can possibly go wrong, can it? So then I go back upstairs to my hotel room, and I'm wearing the hot pink Sarah Jessica Parker heels that I love and are very comfortable. But as I mentioned earlier, I've worn them a lot. Like, you've probably seen me style them a million different ways. So the sole of the shoe is definitely like worn down. I've worn them so many times. So I'm walking upstairs in the hotel room, and the front of the shoe, like the sole, must have just been turned down ever so slightly just from wear over the time. And so I must have slid my foot in a weird way, and the whole sole of the shoe just ripped off and was hanging. Like the shoe and then the sole is just hanging off. And I'm supposed to go to the after party. Now, guys, I didn't post about any of this online because I saved it for the podcast, because this is the real behind the scenes. Everyone thinks my life's so, it's so glamorous going to all these events. Little do they know my earring broke, my shoe's broken, and my phone's broken, all the stuff's broken. So there I am. I had like 20 minutes until I had to leave for this after party. And I'm Googling, like, where's the closest Duane Reade? So I put on my platform Uggs with my Christian Siriano gown. And there I am running in the middle of Midtown to Duane Reade to try to get glue, to glue the sole of my shoe back on. So I got the glue. And Dave's like, this isn't going to hold. This is not going to hold. You're going to need to wear different shoes. But I'm like, this is going to look so bad if I get photographed at the after party and now I have different shoes on. It's just going to look so weird. So Dave used a whole bottle of crazy glue. I'm not even kidding. And it stayed. It stayed for the after party. The shoe worked. But now I think those shoes are done, unfortunately. I think I need to just, if they still make that exact style, just buy another pair, because unfortunately they're done. But these are the things you don't see on the behind the scenes. So anyway, my shoe's fixed. I've requested an Uber inside the hotel while I still have service, and I make it to the after party. So the after party for Karl Lagerfeld is at the Mark Hotel. And the Mark Hotel is where all the celebrities stay during the Met Gala. So if you've ever seen any videos on TikTok or Instagram of all the celebrities like walking out of a hotel on their way to the Met Gala, it's the Mark Hotel. And there is always a swarm of people outside of there on Met Gala Monday. And the other day was absolutely no different. So when I got there for the after party, the entire street was shut down. And my car dropped me on one avenue. And so I just got out and I was like, oh, I'll just walk down the street. And there was a security guard there with like, a metal gate. And he's like, oh, no, you got to walk all the way to the other avenue. And I don't have service. My shoe's hanging on by a thread. I'm like, okay. So there I am just like hobbling. But I finally get to the Mark and there's just like a crazy swarm of people outside. I get in and the atmosphere is very cool and very chic. They had all statues and pictures of Karl all over the party. They had a step and repeat backdrop that said Karl Lagerfeld on it, and a DJ and macaroons that had little Karl Lagerfeld logos on it, and of course past hors d'oeuvres and champagne and wine and all of that fun stuff. And then in the party, I did end up thankfully seeing some people I knew, so I wasn't totally alone. And later in the night, it was cool. There was a few celebrity appearances. So Cara Delevingne ended up coming, who she was dressed like, I don't want to say as Karl, but in inspiration of Karl at the gala, which was really cool. And she was still in her full outfit. And Jared Leto, who dressed up as Chopette, Karl Lagerfeld's cat, in literally a full cat costume, like head, body, cat costume. He came to the after party in a normal outfit, but just holding the cat head. And when he walked in, everyone just went crazy, swarmed over, taking photos and things like that. So I stayed for a few hours, got my photos taken, talked to a bunch of people, waited to see the celeb sightings. And it was a great night. Leaving was a little bit tricky since I didn't have service and cars couldn't drive down the street. So I requested an Uber inside the hotel when I had service, but as soon as I stepped outside, I lost service. And since the car couldn't pull down the block, I couldn't find it anywhere. And there I am. It was probably like 1 a.m. So the party didn't start till 10. And I didn't end up getting there because of the shoe fiasco, everything, till maybe like 10:30, almost 11. And then probably stayed until around 12:40, almost 1 o'clock. Because it was a fun party. And I kept almost leaving. And then like somebody, like a celebrity would come in. I'd be like, oh, I shouldn't leave yet. So I ended up finally leaving. And then I couldn't find my Uber anywhere. I have no service. There's also like swarms and swarms of people outside. I'm getting so overwhelmed. And thankfully, it was just such a New York moment. There was a taxi, and I can't even tell you the last time I took a nice old classic taxi. And its light was on, and I just jumped in, and I felt so Carrie Bradshaw leaving a party, and taxi came to save the day. So that was an influencer or creator's Met Gala experience. You know, started getting my hair and makeup done at 1:30 in the afternoon, didn't wrap up until around, 1 a.m., Then I stayed up to edit and stuff, didn't go to bed till 3. So it was a long day, but I'm sure being an actual celebrity who goes to the actual Met Gala, it must be insane and crazy. And I hope one day I can, come back here and talk to you guys about that, manifesting maybe 2024, 2025, but manifesting that for us. But for now, this is how a creator spends the Met Gala. And it is really fun and special and exciting for them to include us in some way. So with that being said now, though, as you know, I did go to a TikTok watch party. So let's dive into some of my favorite looks, what I thought of the looks overall. And of course, anyone listening to this, it's all about opinion. Fashion's all about opinion. It's supposed to be fun. It's not so serious. So I never even say that I have a least favorite look, because everyone looked amazing, and everyone puts so much thought and time and planning into their looks that I couldn't even imagine saying, oh, we're stressed or something like that. Like, that'll never cross my mouth. I would never say that. So now for some of my favorite looks. So one of my biggest predictions was I wanted people to wear one vintage Chanel and archival looks, but I really wanted someone to wear a tweed gown. And Dua Lipa did. She wore a vintage Chanel fall 1992 couture tweed gown, and she looked absolutely stunning. She wore her hair and makeup just a bit more simple, like down, loose waves, very natural glam, and it felt very Carl. Like, it wasn't overdone, it wasn't too much. And I think for me as a maximalist, I'm not going to lie, there really wasn't a lot of color on the red carpet this year. And I was waiting for some color or a bold pop or a red tweed or a pink tweed, because I think I was waiting for someone to pay homage to Carl, but then modernize it and make it a little bit them and more fun. So it did feel very neutral. So if you're a color girly, this maybe wasn't your favorite Met Gala red carpet. I will definitely say camp was when it was camp, that was one of my absolute favorites. But I did think Dua Lipa looked so stunning in this, vintage Chanel gown. I also loved Emma Chamberlain's look. I love Emma Chamberlain. And she wore her first look, because then she changed when she was interviewing people. But I'm talking about her first look that she wore on the red carpet. And it was a little Miu Miu two-piece set. And I loved that it looked kind of like a Chanel skirt suit. It had a jacket, a cropped jacket, but then a long skirt with a belt. And it looked like it was low-waisted. And then she wore a headband. So it felt very Chanel, but while being very Emma still. And I love Emma Chamberlain. I think she has a really cool personal sense of style that is unique to her. And instead of just wearing something right off, the runway or something, vintage Chanel that she didn't change at all, I loved that she worked with Miu Miu to create a look that felt reminiscent of Chanel while still being her. It was also in this light powdery blue, which I kept, as you know, I was waiting for a pop of color, and I did love the pop of color. She also styled it with this sparkly top underneath. I'm looking at the photos. I would love to even get a closer video of this, but it looked very beautiful, and it gave that sparkly, glamorous pop, and the headband felt very vintage Chanel. So I just thought she did a great job. Emma Chamberlain can always do no wrong in my book. I also loved, because A lot of the predictions people were making were that there was going to be kids on the red carpet because Karl Lagerfeld loved incorporating children into his runway shows, but there is a rule that apparently no children under the age of 18 are allowed to attend the Met Gala. So people kept making predictions that like Northwest was going to attend and stuff, but she was not there. But a mother-daughter duo that was there was Kate Moss and Lila Moss, and they both wore Fendi. And I thought they really looked so beautiful together. And I loved that, obviously, she's not a kid, but it still gave that mother-daughter vibe that everyone was predicting and looking forward to and waiting for. And I really loved Lila's look. It looked like it was a feathery dress, but then it was mesh in the middle and was just very classy, but then still young and fun for her. And then Kate Moss is just stunning and can do no wrong. And I loved how the colors really coordinated together. Again, there was still no pop of color. So it was hard for me a little bit. I'm not going to lie, to pick my favorite looks of the night because I didn't have one that I was like, that's it, like done. That's my favorite. But I am going to talk about two looks that were fun looks. And it's Doja Cat and Jared Leto, as I mentioned. They both dressed up as cats. And the reason being is Karl Lagerfeld has this cat named Chopette, and he or she, I'm not sure, but it's a little white cat, and they're so cute. And everyone was predicting, is Chopette going to come to the Met Gala? And sadly, they did not come. But Doja Cat literally, she wore a stunning Oscar de la Renta gown, but then she put prosthetics on her face to actually make her look like a cat. And I just love her commitment to taking risks. And she isn't afraid to do something bold, because something like that, obviously mixed reviews can come in. Do they love it? Do they hate it? Are people making memes about it? Because obviously the day of the Met Gala, everyone becomes the fashion police and starts commenting and critiquing. But I love that she took the risk and paid homage to Karl in that way. And then Jared Leto literally wore a full cat suit. I'm not kidding. It was like a costume character. I'm not sure where it was from, but he came to the after party with the head, and it was definitely wild. It was literally a cat costume. So I loved that they both had fun with fashion and weren't afraid to take a risk and do something a bit more playful, because I think everyone was waiting for something a bit more playful, a nod to Karl through his love for Diet Coke, or like his hate for sweatpants. People were commenting that maybe someone's going to wear sweatpants, because he's made comments saying like, you know, if you wear sweatpants, it means you gave up or something like that. So people were waiting for that, but never happened. Never happened. Everyone stuck to very classic Chanel vibes, Karl Lagerfeld vibes. Someone whose outfit I did love, and she has just been killing it lately, is Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway is just so stunning, and I read something somewhere, and it was like, you don't age when you're not problematic or something like that. And she just does not age. She looks so stunning, and she looks younger than ever. But she wore Versace, and she always is styled by Erin Walsh. And Erin Walsh just does such an amazing job. Anne Hathaway always looks incredible. But it was a tweed gown, which loved. But then it had a lot of pearl embellishments and gold. And up at the top, it was reminiscent of Chanel, the classic Chanel flowers, which I thought was so cool. And I loved, what I really wanted was for people to take the tweed. That's what I would have done. Is take the classic Chanel tweed, but then work with a designer or a brand to create your own take on it, your own take on like a modern, fun Chanel vibe, which I thought they really did with this look. And she looked incredible. She can do no wrong. Also, it was Paris Hilton's first Met Gala, which I was shocked about. I couldn't believe Paris Hilton has never gone to a Met Gala before. She looked stunning. She wore Marc Jacobs. Those platforms are wild. The fact that she walked all the way up those Met steps in those platforms, I'm like, she is a queen, but like, respect. And she wore all black, which again, I was really interested and excited for maybe like a pink Barbie moment, or we all know that Paris Hilton is like the queen of Y2K fashion. So, and Chanel obviously has had its Y2K bags and its Y2K moments. So, was kind of waiting for maybe like a Paris Hilton Y2K pink moment, but she looked stunning in black. I loved the black flower choker she had on. And then Rihanna. Rihanna is always kind of a staple, kills it at the Met Gala. Some of her bests have been, I still think about the yellow gown she wore, but she wore custom Valentino, and it was a white gown. Again, not a pop of color, but we loved it. And it had all the Chanel flower embellishments. It was kind of like a hood that she wore, and then she took it down for like this grand reveal. But Rihanna can do no wrong. But I will say, the day before the Met Gala, she posted a look on her Instagram that was black and white with these vintage Chanel sunglasses. I kind of liked that look even a little bit better. I felt like that look was so fun. And for me, I was just waiting for something fun and a little bit more bold and a little bit more maximalist. But that's just me. I think I just would have done something a little bit more colorful for the red carpet. But I think my making it a Manhattan tip of the episode is when picking a look for a big event like the Met Gala, always still stay true to your personal style. So even if you're paying homage to a certain designer or a certain brand, always still put your own spin on it. And I like to say that even for myself when I'm borrowing a look from a brand, like even when I borrowed these amazing gowns from Christian Siriano. And yes, it was only a borrow. I don't get to keep them, unfortunately. When borrowing pieces from designers, always put your own spin on it. Always make it fun, accessorize, and make it feel like you. You don't want it to feel like the outfit's wearing you. You're wearing the outfit. Always, always. And that's just something important to keep in mind always for big events. Even if you're a bridesmaid at your friend's wedding, I think that's a great example. You're going to be asked to wear a dress, of course. But obviously with the bride's blessing, maybe ask if you could pair a fun earring with it, or a sparkly shoe, or just put your own spin on any look you wear and every look you wear. You don't have to just stick to exactly what you see on the model or what you see online. So for our Making It a Manhattan question of the week, the question is, what would I have worn to the Met Gala this year if I was invited? That is a great question. And I think, as I said, something I really wanted to see was tweed, because I feel like it's very classic Chanel. So I would have loved to partner with a smaller and upcoming designer to create like a very glamorous tweed gown, but in a fun color. Like maybe it was a tweed that had pink and yellow and purple and blue. So it still felt Chanel and still felt like it paid homage to Carl, but then still felt like my own personal style. And by gown, I mean like dramatic, long train, and maybe there was some incorporation of the classic Chanel flowers. Maybe on the train made out of tweed, there was all flowers, or maybe I had Chanel flowers just like all throughout my hair or something. And then dripping in pearls in the front, but a mix between, I feel like taking like a tweed Chanel suit and flipping it on its head and just making it like glamorous and fun and Met Gala and red carpet. And then I did see, for example, like Janelle Monáe, I felt like she paid homage to Carl a little bit with her Tom Brown look, which was a tweed. It was a transforming look, which was cool. It was two looks. But in the first one, it was like an oversized, very campy version of Carl, and it was like a tweed black and white kind of jacket moment, and she was holding a little bag that I zoomed in on it, and it was all white. It kind of looked like a dog, but I think it was supposed to be Chopette and like a little cat bag, but I feel like I could have gotten a really cool like white crystallized cat purse, like a little tiny crystallized cat purse. So I would have had and a clutch. So like a crystallized white Chopette custom little cat clutch, huge, and maybe it was like strapless with like a little like puff sleeve or something, but all tweed, long train in the back, Chanel flowers made out of the tweed. So it almost like is hidden in the dress. Like when you look close, you see the bunches of the flowers, and maybe it flowers in my hair somewhere. So really like a girl boss Chanel 90s power suit vibe, but in a gown with pearls, and then like a little nod to Chopette with a little crystal cat bag. I think that's what I would have worn. But who's to say? Maybe one day, guys. If I ever get invited, oh my goodness, it will be crazy trying to find the perfect look, because we know me. When I have a cool event, I want to go all out and I just want to have fun and I want to bring it. I love getting dressed up. I always say the getting dressed up part is sometimes more fun than the event. So always, go all out and enjoy that. The getting the hair and makeup done, the putting on the look, the putting on the earrings, that's sometimes more fun than the actual event. So that is a wrap on our Met Gala Monday episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know which looks were your absolute favorite and just what you thought on the overall theme as well. Were you loving it? Were you missing the color? Let me know. Leave me a comment, send me questions for future episodes, and make sure to stay tuned because in next week's episode, we will have our very, very first guest on Making It in Manhattan. And I don't want to ruin anything for you guys, but she is an absolute fashion industry icon and someone that I personally look up to and have admired for years. So it's going to be a really, really great episode. So save the date and I will see you guys there.